Well, we're about to leave Wilpena Pound. We've stayed here for a couple of nights. To get to this point, we've covered about 3,200 kilometres. We're now actually on our return journey back to Perth. That'll take a couple of weeks and probably a similar distance. We've covered some pretty snotty terrain to get here. The whole idea of this trip was to show the group places they perhaps hadn't seen before. So we covered old abandoned highways, telegraph tracks, Gorge track, which is lots of sand dunes. So it's been a fairly interesting and mixed journey to get here, and I think getting home will be very, very similar. Today we're going on the Echo Creek Backtrack, and the locals reckon you should air up to almost road pressures out here, and I figured the locals would know, yeah? Well, we walked for a couple hundred metres, couldn't find the water hole. I read somewhere it was a permanent water source, but as Sue pointed out, they've actually got an IBC container and they're drip feeding that into a smaller container for the wallabies. So if there was a water hole nearby containing water, you wouldn't expect them to have that set up. So yeah, the girl back at the village said the only water hole was further in, deeper in, and yeah, maybe she's right. Everywhere you go there's remnants and signs of exploration from years ago. This place they're searching for uranium in a lot of cases, and in most cases never found it. But there's bits and pieces left over from all those exploration teams and the like. A lot of it's indistinguishable. You can't really make it out unless you use your imagination. Birdie. Now the arrow was actually put down by some bloke with his 9-year-old son in tow to point their direction of travel. I don't know how it ended, probably badly. This is steep. I'm not suggesting I wouldn't struggle getting up, but yeah, that's steep. we're on a track that we were advised not to go down. Yeah, and I was curious, so small chunks, we took it bit by bit, but we got to the point where, yeah, nah, no, it's further forward, you'll see it. Yeah, got to a point where, no, not a good idea, so we've been able to do 5-point turns, and we'll walk to the water hole.
Oh my God.
You'd have no,
From here.
no, you'd have no chance of getting up that lip.
Guys, I'll take a photo.
That's out of my league. Too far from home to do damage to the vehicle here. Well, we're at the gorge. Lots of signs of life, as in wallaby poo. Haven't reached the water yet. They reckon it's a permanent water hole. You can see where the water has been in the past, marking the side of the gorge. Well, we're going deeper and deeper into the gorge in search of the water. We were told it was a permanent water source, but geez, like I say, you can see where the water line is at odd times. That's would be a spectacular scene. I could only assume he's just fallen from the top. You know, he wouldn't have died from a lack of water. There's enough of that here, so yeah, that's a bit sad. There's some ducks through there. I wasn't expecting that. It's one thing to get to these places. Now you've got the long walk back. Go, Skip. When people need assistance to descend, you can imagine how tough it would be in the vehicle. Back at where we started from, Arkaroola village. That's been a challenging day. Some of the hardest four-wheel driving I've done recently, and yeah, the feedback I'm getting is that it sounds like everybody else enjoyed it pretty much as well. From here we're going to have sort of a semi-formal dinner this evening, because the whole objective of this trip was to get to the Flinders Ranges. We've done that, so get together and relive some of the stuff that we've done today.
Okay.
Well, we're currently transiting from Arkaroola to Wilpena Pound in the Flinders Ranges. We're just doing the Wanneroo Loop Road, and this place is the most photographic place in all of the Flinders Ranges, and you can understand why. we've arrived at Wilpena Pound. Dusty old trip today. No wind, the dust was just hanging there. Dust trails for hundreds of metres. Anyway, we're here for 2 nights. Just have a look around. Some will go walking. There's some steep climbs around here. The biggest I think is St Mary's Peak. Others might just take it easy and, I don't know, do some personal admin. Well, we're about to leave Wilpena Pound. We've stayed here for a couple of nights. To get to this point, we've covered about 3,200 kilometres. We're now actually on our return journey back to Perth. That'll take a couple of weeks and probably a similar distance. We've covered some pretty snotty terrain to get here. The whole idea of this trip was to show the group places they perhaps hadn't seen before. So we covered old abandoned highways, telegraph tracks, Gorge track, which is lots of sand dunes. So it's been a fairly interesting and mixed journey to get here, and I think getting home will be very, very similar. But look, anyway, if this is the final approach, you know what that means. See you on the other side.